South Africa's fastest ever sprinter Simon Magekwe has been banned for 2 years for refusing to submit an out-of-competition test, according to Athletics South Africa President Alex Sokhana. Magekwe, the only South African to have run the 100 meters in under 10 seconds, was approached by testers on December the 22nd last year, but he refused to give them a urine sample. That is considered a doping violation according to anti-doping regulations. A tribunal was held on January the 19th, and in early February, Magekwe was suspended for 2 years. Magekwe had the right to appeal, but the time limit for that appeal has now expired. To find out more about the case, we're now joined by South African athletics correspondent Manfred. Manfred, has the news of Magekwe's ban come as a surprise?
I think for a number of us, it's I suppose mixed feelings is probably the right word. There's always been rumours around the training group that he's with, primarily because 2 athletes have tested positive out of that group before. But, we've always wanted a really good news story. So, the story of Simon Magekwe, if you go back how he started, this was a real rags to riches scenario. So I think more disappointment than surprise. There are some that are surprised if you look at social media, but I think for those of us who've been covering athletics intensively, with the rumours that have been going around, this rumour has been going around for 2 months now, I suppose it hasn't actually come as a surprise now after the last 2 months.
How big a blow is this to South African athletics? Because he was seen as one of the shining lights on the track.
It's massive. It's absolutely huge. We've got a good group of sprinters coming through, and we haven't had that for a long time. And he was the role model. He was leading them. And, of course, the fact that for years and years and years we've been crying for someone to break that magical 10-second barrier, and Simon Magekwe did that. So it's huge for South African athletics, and social media in South Africa, as well as the newspapers and the radio stations, they're all running amok right now. It's a massive blow for South African athletics.
Had his performances raised any suspicions? 9.98 for the 100 meters is a very good time.
Yeah, look, there have been a lot of people who've had question marks around Simon for some time. But, I mean, if you look at his progression as to how he came through the ranks, and he's a 6-time national champion. He's gone through the whole testing procedure and so on. So, most of us would say he's a really classy athlete. He fully had the capability of breaking 10 seconds, and we all felt it was a matter of time. But you had a number of detractors, especially because of the fact that the training group has had, as I said before, 2 positive tests already.
Now he's already 28 years old. Can he return to a top level after 2 years out?
In theory, yes. I mean, he would come back. His ban comes to an end at the end of December of 2016. So he misses this year's World Champs as well as next year's Olympic Games. So he would be 29, 30. It can be done. Physiologically, it can be done. But he'd have to carry on training. And unfortunately, the resources in South Africa wouldn't allow that, really. So I would imagine that this is pretty much the death knell of his career. I would hope not. I hope that he's able to come back. And obviously, he would, during those 2 years, he would have to be tested frequently, just that when he does come back, there can be no repercussions. So, in theory, I believe he can, but I do think, given South Africa's issues, South Africa's resource problems for athletes, it's going to be a very, very tough ask.
Finally, in light of the Kenyan athletics agent suspension, are there any South African athletes under suspension?
To the best of my knowledge, no. I had a phone call this morning from a coach who said that there's a rumour going around that there's another top athlete that will be testing, or the news will come out in this week. We, at this point in time, do not know who that is. South Africa has had its problems with doping, not nearly as bad as a number of other nations, but, the opportunities are rife in South Africa just as anywhere else. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are a number of athletes out there who are actually taking performance-enhancing drugs. But again, without the proof, we can't really do much.
Mr. Siedler, thank you for speaking to Sports News Africa.